All right, guys. Yeah, it's Kevin Davis here for a Catholic Family Podcast short. So I'm not an end of the world type of a guy. I think that focusing on the end of the world can be a bit silly, distracting, and keep us from what's really important, and that is, well, saving our souls. We all could have our own end of the world. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be in 30 years. And so it's not really worth focusing on. But there are some things that I think are interesting about that genre, I suppose, that topic. And one of them is the vision that Pope Leo XIII had about the 100 years that Satan would have to control the world. I think that's kind of the story. I believe it was during Mass or perhaps after Mass he had a vision where I think he heard the voices of Satan and I think Christ having a conversation, or I forget exactly how it goes. I should have looked at this up beforehand, but I didn't. Apologies for that. But in the end, from it came the idea, or from Pope Leo, that there would be 100 years where the devil would be given almost free reign over the world. Now, not completely, of course, Christ and God would never leave us alone, but that's kind of the idea. Now, I don't know how real this is, but it definitely floats around the end of the world sphere, which I'm sure most people have already heard about. Now, I've heard theories that it began back in the time of Pope Leo, which is the end of the 1800s. Makes some sense. My dad actually thought it could be starting in 1917. I think we talked about it in previous podcasts, and thus ending in 2017. I'd say, at this point, that's not looking so good. My theory is now, and I've thought about this a bit lately, is that it was actually begun in 1958 with the death of Pope Pius XII. Of course, we know what happened after that. The Second Vatican Council brought in really the destruction of the Catholic Church, at least in terms of its authority on earth. Again, in terms of temporal means, of course, the Church will never err and will never fail. The gates of hell will never prevail. Of course, I don't mean that. But as we know, the Novus Ordo set up its own ape church and brought most of the Catholics with it, and especially the hierarchy in Rome. Now, from that being the major issue and the major reason why the devil has control, the moral authority on earth is no longer there. That obviously led to the sexual revolution in the 1960s. It led to the spread of communism. Vietnam, you saw America's influence degenerate and turn into a bad thing rather than it had been for a few years, I think a positive influence through the world. You see the corruption of media, you see the corruption of communications, and really, I think you just see the world start to really nosedive downhill since the 1950s, and I mean, I guess really since Vatican II. And so it makes a lot of sense when you start thinking about it, that no question, the moral authority and the church has gone into hiding, whatever you want to call it. The hierarchy is gone. And so that makes a lot of sense for the devil to be in control. You look at society as well, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense. So that's my 2 cents for the day. Apologies for little Basti here as he complains and whines that I don't know, he probably wants mama. So those are my 2 cents for the day. Let me know what you think. Does it make any sense, or is it a bunch of hogwash? God bless.